Welcome to Squarebox Games. I'm Ryan, and today I'm super excited to jump into something with you. Fantasy Flight has finally announced one of my favorite characters in all of Marvel Comics for Marvel Champions, and that is Deadpool. That's right, the Merc with Mouth is coming to Marvel Champions. So, without further ado, let's jump in and see what we've got going on here with Deadpool. Normally, I would just sort of give like a cursory glance at Deadpool, but we've got a lot of information and a lot of things going on in here, so I'm actually going to try to do some card reveals here. So first off, you can see this cool art, Deadpool zooming in on some sort of rocket. He's got his katana out. This is awesome. Even in the release, and I won't read all this, you can if you want, but they basically just talk about how they didn't want to just sort of do the same thing that everybody does with Deadpool. So it's really cool to see them take a whole different approach to him. And Deadpool, there's a few things to note right off the bat. Number one, he has 78 cards instead of the standard 60. In addition, he also, in the pre-constructed deck, adds a completely new aspect to Marvel Champions, and that is the pool aspect, which we'll get into some of those cards later. But there's some things that happen with the new aspect, so we now have a fifth aspect added to Marvel Champions, and anybody can use the pool aspect, and we'll sort of talk about what they show if you're going to use that with another hero. So we got some neat cards here. And now we're going to take a look at, the alter ego and hero cards that we've got right off the bat. So for starters, you can see that, we've got Deadpool here, and he has added some cool additions to his thwart, attack, and defense, but we have a little asterisk there that says ignore these zeros. And I like how they've done it where like Deadpool's put them on there, but it's sort of like the guys at Fantasy Flight are like, no, ignore what he's doing. So I think that's some cool, like, fun fourth wall breaking stuff here. But one of the things we see with Deadpool's hero form is the regenerate and degenerate. He has forced interrupt. When you would be defeated, instead, set your hit point dial to 1. Change to alter ego form and add 1 acceleration token to the main scheme. And we'll see later on that depending on the number of acceleration tokens and things you have, that does certain things and gives certain bonuses with Deadpool and his aspect. So he can't die, you can't get rid of him, which is very Deadpool-like. And then his recovery is huge, it's 8. It will take him basically in 1 recovery all the way up to full health. So that is showing his super regeneration ability right there. It says, he's a mercenary mutant. Discard a card from your hand, search your deck for a Deadpool event, and add it to your hand limit once per round. So that's sort of the advantage you can get, maybe taken out, you flip over to your alter ego form, add an acceleration, and then you can, shuffle through your hand next time and also like recover up to your full health. So a lot going on there with Deadpool with his alter ego and hero forms. So super cool there. And now I'm actually going to flip over and we're going to take a look at some of these cards. I think I've got them in order. So yeah, here we've got the first card we come across here is Exhausting Personality. And you can see that it's an event card. Place 1 acceleration token on the main scheme, stun and confuse the villain. Exhaust a player's identity. That player draws 1 card for each acceleration token on the main scheme. So the thing about Deadpool really is, and they sort of mention this later on with his pool aspect, but the pool aspect is kind of similar to Star-Lord with the encounter cards. At least that's the way I take it, where you have high risk, high reward, but it seems to be even more so with Deadpool. So, you're adding these acceleration tokens to the main scheme, which means you can't die, but you could threat out. And so if you were to, have some good threat removal there, pair him up with somebody, you may be able to mitigate losing, but you get these extreme bonuses by taking that risk. So the next card we come across is, let's see here. montage, this card generates one additional resource for each acceleration token on the main scheme, maximum of 3. So again, with those acceleration tokens on there, you can get some big bonuses. We also have Cable as an ally here. He's got 1 thwart, 2 attack, and Cable gets +1 at thwart and attack for each acceleration token on the main scheme. So really cool, they've got Cable in there, and again, that can be super buffed, you know, depending on how many of those tokens that you're willing to throw on the scheme. So next we have It Ain't Over, and attached to the main scheme, increase the target threat value of the attached scheme by 2 for each acceleration token on it. So next, I can't remember if we're getting into the pool aspect quite yet. We've got maximum effort. Okay, yeah, so we're not there quite yet. Hero action attack, take any amount of damage up to your remaining hit points, deal an equal amount of damage to an enemy. So there's this one Deadpool comic where he basically needs to escape off this building, and he basically just is like, well, I'm gonna get killed, or I could just jump off this building and die and then just come back to life. And that's kind of what I think about this card. You know, basically you're just like getting him all sliced up and everything, and then dealing out as much damage as possible, sort of reckless abandon there. So we also have Yoo-Hoo, hero action, take any amount of damage up to your remaining hit points, remove an equal amount of threat from a scheme. So again, same thing, like you're just taking all the damage, basically dying, and taking an opportunity to do, you know, a big risk there and bring yourself back from the dead. So this is kind of a neat card. Basically, you know, if you were to use some of those other cards previously, it says after your turn ends, if this card's in your hand, take 1 damage. Deal X damage to an enemy. X is the amount of damage you have sustained. So again, if you were to take like a huge amount of damage and kill a bunch of guys, you know, then you could also deal that damage to an enemy, potentially doing, you know, up to 8 damage, you know. So pretty heavy duty card there. Next we have Armed to the Teeth. After you play Armed to the Teeth, search your collection for 1 weapon upgrade from any aspect and attach it here face down. Action, exhaust Armed to the Teeth, swap the card attached here with a weapon upgrade you control. So you're sort of getting an opportunity to stack up your inventory and move things around. So next, let's jump into the new aspect that they've added with Deadpool, the pool aspect. And one of the reasons I really like this is because it just completely sits outside of the rest of everything Marvel Champions that they've done so far, and it's just sort of its own thing. And again, that's what I've seen in the comics. Deadpool is just so unique of a character, and just he doesn't play by the rules, and even if he does, things just get weird and quirky, and I really like that about what they've done here. I also really like that they've brought in some really neat aspects from the comics with these characters, like they tend to do in Champions. So starting off here, we see that we have Dogpool, and he is from the Deadpool core comics, and I don't remember what run that was, but I want to say it was like late 2000 aughts or whatever. But I think most of the Deadpool core or Deadpool aspect cards contain parts from the Deadpool core, and I think that's really cool. So here we've got Dogpool, thwart 0, attack 1, retaliate toughness, retaliate 1 and toughness. When defeated, deal 1 damage to an enemy, and he can have an acceleration here. Let's see here. Healing factor, a superpower, max 1 per player. After the player phase begins, exhaust healing factor, heal 2 damage from your identity. So I think that's, you know, pretty cool to be able to throw in there, and you can just add more healing power by joining the Deadpool core in a way. So here we've got Headpool. I love Headpool. Response after Headpool attacks and damages a minion, that minion attacks another enemy of your choice. So, you know, just all sorts of crazy antics going on with that. Next we've got Barely a Scratch defense. When you would take any amount of damage from an attack, prevent 1 of that damage for each different resource that is in play. We've got I Got This, Hero Action. If the following icons are on one or more cards in play, and then you have things that you have to do based on that. Deal 3 damage to an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme, ready an ally, draw a card. Now here's something that's interesting. We've got a player side scheme. Victory 0, each identity gets +2 hand size. And I'll have to look up what these icons do, but I can't remember exactly right off the bat, but basically it's sort of another like high risk thing where you get acceleration, some crisis, some other stuff like that. Here we've got sort of a fun like Deadpool style play on the classic like uppercut card. I think you've seen this from various people, like I think Gamora has it in her like stock deck, but it's called Cut Upper. Hero Action, deal 5 damage to an enemy, stun the enemy, so sort of Deadpool's flavor on that, and I like that. Then we've got, instead of Get Ready, Get Ragey. Looks like we've got old Hydra Bob there. Ready an ally, that ally gets +1 attack to the end of the phase. So, extra little Deadpool bump there. And then I love this one, the Great Responsibility. And not my responsibility. And I think here Deadpool's actually eating popcorn out of his hat. And it just says interrupt. He's marked out the hero. When any amount of threat would be placed on a scheme, take it as damage instead, or your ally can take it. So again, kind of a interesting thing. Next we've got Get Good. Is that right? I think, yeah. Reduce the cost to play Get Good by 2 if you did not win the previous game of Marvel Champions. Again, sort of these like wacky, like out of universe things that we have Deadpool's kind of known for. Force Interrupt, when a player would be defeated if they set their hit point dial to 1 and change to their alter ego form instead, remove this card from the game. So again, that's basically giving Deadpool's power to whoever chooses this aspect. Now, something that we do get here, and this sort of plays across, some of the stuff that we've seen from Deadpool in the comics where he'll get like split apart and like parts of him will regenerate and become evil, is when you play when you're playing the pool aspect, you have to include Dreadpool. And that sort of helps to offset, I think, and balance out what all the advantages that the Deadpool cards give you. So Dreadpool kind of sucks because he's a 2 and a 2 with 3, and it says Dreadpool engages the first player. When defeated, deal Dreadpool to the player who defeated him as a face-down encounter card. So just like Deadpool himself, who you can't really kill, you also can't kill Dreadpool. And depending on who kills him, you might just have to continuously deal with that frustration. So along with Dreadpool, you also get some side schemes, which are kind of frustrating. We get Dreadful Deeds. When revealed, place 2 threat here for each player who controls 1 or more pool cards. So it goes along with the pool aspect. And then we also get Anti-Regeneration Ray. And attached to Deadpool or Dreadpool, otherwise attached to the villain. Force Interrupt, when attached to the character, or when attached character attacks a non-villain character, treat the attacked character's text box as if it were blank, except for the traits until the end of the attack. So in one of the comics, basically, Deadpool, there was something to like stop his healing factor, and he was trying to die. And this basically is the integration of that into the game. So this is the way that Deadpool could die, is the Anti-Regeneration Ray, which basically doesn't allow you to set your counter to 1, flip over, and then have the opportunity to heal. So Dreadpool can come after and kill Deadpool. Finally, we've got Poolized. Treat an attached ally as a pool minion with a blank text box. Each attached minion scheme is equal to the printed thwart and does not take consequential damage. When revealed, attach to the ally with the highest cost without Poolized attached. Otherwise, this card gains Surge. So that's basically it, I think, for Deadpool. And I think at this point, all of the next evolution stuff is now out, or at least revealed. So yeah, really excited for Deadpool to come out. He doesn't look like he's the strongest character of all time, not super OP, but he looks really fun to play just because it looks like it's going to be crazy madness, which that's always what I'm expecting from Deadpool. Whenever I read the comics, I'm always expecting something that's just sort of zany and wacky and not normal. When you're reading other comics, it doesn't follow normal story beats. So I'm really excited to play this game and just sort of have a whole new flavor now with Marvel Champion. And I think the pool aspect being added to other players, maybe even something like Spider-Man, would be really fun to add to and just see how crazy you can make some of those characters. Well guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you're as excited for Deadpool as I am. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and I'm so stoked to see Deadpool come to Marvel Champions. It looks like it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So if you like this video, subscribe. Just go ahead, do it. You know you want to. And rub that notification bell so you can know when we're coming out with new content like this. So with that guys, have a good one.